I know, it's been a really long time since I last made a Platform Masters video, and wow, those mountains really look a lot different, don't they? I'll cover that in a bit. So then, what happened during those several months where no progress is being made? I lost an essential resource, television service. Now what does that have to do with Platform Masters? When it comes to the really repetitive and boring stuff, such as making scenery, I need something off the side to keep me occupied. And little did I know, television was going to have a really strong effect. It all started with my move to Fargo, where I had 3 choices for TV. I couldn't get the dish-based services because I was on the wrong side of the building. Local TV almost never has anything of interest, ruling that out, because it doesn't do me any good then. And I also had cable TV, for which I did get, but little did I know it was going to be outrageously expensive. And as soon as I lost cable TV service, I was just shy of finishing the 2 space bases, and when I tried to resume, I couldn't keep at it for more than 30 minutes. And I just couldn't return since. During the time I had no TV, however, I was making progress. But it's on the problem-solving front, and one of those problems is, how do I realistically light the hills and mountains in Platform Masters? After all, just look at how jagged these mountains are now. What an improvement, and then some. Isn't this so nice how realistically jagged these look? After all, if you look on this one, it looks like there's kind of a cliff right there. And it looks like this might be an avalanche place. Yeah, avalanche. Yep, I came up with an algorithm for how to do that. Another algorithm I came up with is image compression. Of course, I did consider PNG, but I didn't really like that idea too much, considering it's such a pain to get any libraries that are external and working in Visual C++. So I came up with my own method, and it works out pretty well. And just to give you an idea on how the jaggedness applies elsewhere, Lake Keveran. Remember this beautiful lake, right? Yep. And I want you to remember this. Scenic. I'm going to go up, and a lot up. And from about this point, give or take, Lake Keveran is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm going to go a lot higher yet. And there are several other changes I have in mind too. One of which is with the air taxis on the Z distance. 10, 42, 96, 128. How weird. So I'm going to be standardizing that. And that's just one of the many changes that I have in mind. Isn't this such a gorgeous view? With the hills the way they were, this is definitely a whole lot better. Just to give you a comparison, here's Jeremy's house. The foreground looks really, really nice, don't you think? Remember how I had the perspective effects and all those nice shadows? But those Urus hills, they're an eyesore now compared to what I've seen. Now picture Lake Keveran Mountains in the same fashion as what these would be eventually. Yep, what a difference, isn't it? And to give you an idea for the Sentus Mountains, there's Mount Sentusia, and yet another change. This is all at the same Z position. I want to fix that. Here's these mountains with the same jaggedness that I originally had. They're okay as is, but they're in need of some improvements. After all, the system that you saw on the Sentus Mountains, after all, was a lot better, don't you think? Of course, there are a host of other changes I need to make, and, well, most of it involves either the air taxis or the applying of the jaggedness on the mountains and hills. One of the changes is decreasing the saturation on the sky here because it's way too excessive. Up at the top here, that part's okay at least, but this part down here, this is way too high saturation. I need to adjust that. So, with the adjustments being made, That's just one of the changes that I have in mind. And just to give you an idea on some other progress that I made, consider the misting effect in this particular world. Remember how it had the effect here, the banding out here, and how obvious it was? Now it's much, much more difficult to see that. In fact, it's such a major improvement, I'm going to be implementing that on Keveran Forest. And speaking of Keveran Forest, notice how the whole scene fades? That's what I originally had very long time ago. This world is still in its infancy, basically. But these are the best trees that I've made, or close to it anyway. But I need to improve on that, and I happen to have somebody that's gone silent on the making of the trees, for which I now have a time for needing them. Musa and Taiga is going to be having all the heavy on the pines. After all, that's what a taiga really is. And with that, I'm just using placeholders at the moment. There are a host of other things that are going to be changing as well, but it's mostly on those air taxis and hills front. But these sand dunes are not going to be changing, however, because it actually makes sense like that. And that basically concludes this video. This video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching.